É só acenar, né? Mas ele não tá aqui, não falou nada.
Não, ele vai.
Demora pra ele pegar.
Eu já tô te vendo.
Que bonitinho. Tô
Já
curtindo.
tem 4 pessoas que vêm.
Ixi, sério?
Não, 3, né? Porque eu tô uma delas. Ah, nem a Luciana e outra. Sim.
Antônio.
Marina entrou.
A Marina entrou. Antônio Martins. Caraca. Cadê ele?
Não, não vai ver.
Oi, gente. Tô esperando o Franck. Aqui, entrou. Peraí. Como é que eu faço? Assinar. Mas não tem assinar.
Não, ele vai ter que solicitar.
Ele tem que solicitar. Ele sabe solicitar?
Ele vai solicitar.
É minha primeira live, tá? Só tô avisando.
Hi, Luciana.
Hi, but where is your image? No, wait. It's connecting.
Wait. For me, it's not moving. I can hear you. I can see you.
But I
How
cannot
are you,
see
Analivia?
you. I am okay. You know, I'm freezing. You are in
You're
the
freezing?
summertime. Yeah, it's so cold here. You are summertime and we are...
It was so hot in Paris a few days ago, a few weeks ago, but nowadays, by the sea is better.
Yeah, but...
Can you see me?
No, not yet.
Oh
It's
my
connecting.
God.
No, wait. It's connecting. I don't know why it's taking so much.
Yes, because he was walking this morning.
Ajude aí.
Não, tá aí?
Yeah, he's talking to me, but I
Yeah?
cannot see him. Did you ask for me to accept you? Frank? Não, eu não tô ouvindo. Hi, Frank. Melhor chamar a Júlia antes que ela vá embora. Ele tem que pedir.
Yeah.
Hi! Now
You can
it's
see
okay.
me?
Yes!
I cannot see me, but I can see you.
Oh.
Never mind. It's okay.
I think it's okay now.
Okay, no problem.
So,
I can see you.
Yes.
That's a good way to do it.
No.
I don't know why it doesn't work for me.
I'm taking care to call you Frank, not Mark.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Great.
So, well,
Great.
Luciana is near here. I am at her gallery. Yeah, because I have no connection. I have no connection at home, so I have to thank Luciana and thank you.
Yes, we have to thank Luciana for organizing this video between us. It is really great. Thank you, Luciana.
Yes.
And so you can see me, I can see you. I cannot see me, but there's no problem.
Yes.
Is it well adjusted for the image? It's okay?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
okay.
Oh, great. Let's wait for a few minutes
Yes.
to begin.
Wait.
Yeah.
Por que ficou escuro? Well, I think... Você está me vendo bem? Just a moment, I'm just checking. Você está me vendo bem na transmissão? Então, para. Tá tudo bem. Okay. So, no, I'm just looking at how to share the photos. No?
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, I think we can begin, if you want.
Okay. So, Analivia Cordeiro, I'm very pleased to begin a conversation with you on the Instagram of Galleria Luciana Brito. And I thank Luciana again for inviting us for this exchange.
Yes.
Okay. There are not so many artists who can reivindicate a large spectrum of interest as you do. You are a dancer, an anthropologist, an architect, and finally an artist well known around the world for your research of human movement. At first in your life, you have been studying a Laban movement during 10 years in São Paulo with Maria Duchesne. Please, could you tell more about this experience according to your interest about human movement?
Okay. I began to study when I was seven years old because I had a problem with my feet. And then the doctor suggested my parents to put me in dance. And they were very clever because instead of putting classical ballet, they decided to put in the school where they were teaching Laban. And Laban, he's very interesting because, you know, he teaches the movement according to the language of movement. So you do a lot of experimentation. For example, for him, the movement has 4 elements. Has the space, has the time, has the weight of gravity because the body is always under weight of gravity.
Sure.
And has the flow, if movement is flowing or if it's cutted, if you can control the flow. For example, if you jump, you cannot control the flow because you are in the air and there is the gravity, so you go down anyway. And then I began to study as a kid, and she was teaching those concepts in a special way because we were not in academical studies. So I was experimenting in my body and learning. This was very important. And I began to have this kind of geometrical vision of the movement since I was a kid. And look, for example, when I was 12 years old, I did these experiments with lights with the neighbor of my teacher. He is now a scientist. He was a boy, a very curious boy. And after the class, I went to his house next my teacher, and I said, let's do a few experiments. And he's a physician now, and he was exactly doing these lights registering, and I was playing with him. So it was a laboratory. My life was a kind of laboratory. I remember one day I wanted to do experiments with rubber bands. I said to my father, excuse me, I took all the furniture from the living room and I put the elastics and said nobody could enter the house. During 2 days, my father, nobody touches. She's experimenting. So I had a very funny and a very good life as a girl, and also a very strong basis. You know, she really gave me this, and I have to thank her a lot because of this. Yeah, and also, you know, she was very respecting me. And she introduced me like to Oscar Schlemmer, Bauhaus, because the films of Oscar Schlemmer, she showed me. I was 10 years old, and I would go to the Goethe Institute, and as I was alone in the room to see the projection, because you have to go to the institute, ask them to show the film, and they had a room to project. I was alone, so I would get up and I would imitate the movements. So he was my teacher, you know, Oscar Schlemmer.
Oscar also.
Yeah, because I think he's a genius, you know, this man is a genius. And then later I studied more about him, but as a kid, I was imitating the movement of triadic ballet. And then she showed me Moholy-Nagy, also from Bauhaus. And he had those photograms with nature that was very different than the aesthetics of Gropius or Bauhaus in general. There was not, you know, right angles, nothing was. And so I was looking at that thing. And when I was 11 years old, she put me in a bus together with my sister, and we went to Rio de Janeiro, 400 kilometers, to see Merce Cunningham. He came to Rio de Janeiro, not São Paulo.
Okay.
It was very nice. She was, you know, I had luck with this teacher. And when she arrived in Rio, she managed, we saw the rehearsal. So look, I was 11 years old together with John Cage and Merce Cunningham. Was the best. And the show next, the show, the theater, Cage asked me to sit on his side because I was a girl. I was so curious looking at those. I felt in love with them. It was empty, the stage, they took everything off so we could see the backstage, and they had that dance with the big pillows, silver, metallic, and the dancer was Rauschenberg scenery. And then the dancer was dancing and the leg would touch and the pillow in the middle, so it was great. So that was my childhood.
Yes, that's good and good memories.
Yes.
Yeah. Then after this initiation, to know yourself better, by the way of your body, you became an architect.
Yes.
And for modernism, architecture is a construction which indicates the place of the human and the body in a structure made with vertical and horizontal plan. And is there any relationship between this second involvement in architecture, with architecture, and the art practice of your father, the artist, Waldemar Cordeiro, one of the most important Brazilian concrete artists? So is there any relationship with this in your mind?
Well, first of all, my father said to me, which is going to be your profession? I said, I'm going to be a dancer. And then he said to me, dancer is not a profession. You have to do a college. I said,
an artist.
No, it was not a profession. It was not, for him, I had to do formal college. So I said, well, the best is architecture. Because I was exactly looking at the body inside the space. So I said, this somehow will be good for me. And I went to this University of São Paulo, where the staff of the teachers, they were very much open-minded. So actually, in FAO, the FAO, Faculty of Architecture and Urbanism, many artists came from this. Many of them were not architects after all, so it was good. Sure. And I was very close to my father. You know, we had the opportunity, for example, when I went to Europe with him, he studied at Accademia delle Belle Arti, Rome. So he would go like inside Louvre, for example, and he would explain the masterpieces to me, the space, the lighting, the technical of oil or of other techniques like tempera. So I had like a non-formal school with him. Mm-hmm. And then he introduced me the principles of Gestalt, visual Gestalt. That was the basis of the concrete art. So I was inside this scientific thinking that's under the concrete art. Telling this to put together what my father and what my dance teacher, then I was born as an artist. Together, the two together, was my basis. And then I lost my father very young. And in 73, he went to sleep and he died, 48 years old. And then I had this complete change, just cut in my life from one day to the other, literally. But the bases were there. And I began to work. And I begin to work now, till now I work referring to him in a way, you know, he's like very near me. Yeah. That's the truth. Yes.
Great.
And there is another thing. I was, during 25 years, I was curator of his collection. And I didn't do my work because I want to do his work before. For example, you are a curator, I come to you, or I talk about me or about my father. So I would always choose my father. That's what happened. Yes.
And it's really interesting to see how at the moment your research are based on individual movement. Because we can see in the past you began to dance and learn the idea of movement in group. And I'm thinking about the very famous video piece bought by very important museum as MoMA, Victoria and Albert Museum, Reina Sofia, and also Itaú, I think, Itaú
Yes.
Cultural.
Yes.
This piece is called M3 by 3. And could you explain to us what was the genesis of M3 by 3 project, and how the public received this piece when you show it in several places in Brazil and also in Europe? How was the reception of this big installation? Let me know. Let us know.
Yes. Well, this name M3 by 3 means a matrix of 3 lines and 3 columns, which means make 9 dancers. That's the beginning of the image. So this is one image, one frame. And the whole time, as you said, I focus the 9 ones. I never use any close-up. Because at that time, it was the moment people were discussing mass media, the massification of, and also McLuhan, and also there were the totalitarian governments like Soviet Union and things like. So they were discussing that the people would be uniformized, everybody together, everybody the same. So what I did, the scene are those dot lines, and the dotted lines have the dots kind of the size are according to the members of the body. And the body has the members separated in white. So, which means the scene is the body without movement. And the scene moving is the body moving. So there is a merge between the scene and the body. And this is very, very important to see that you have no individuals. What is different now? But besides this, besides discussing this question, I was discussing another question very important. This is one notation of how the dancer would learn his movement, because this is a computer planned work. I entered in the computer with the elements of movement, like Laban said, space, time,
A kind of vocabulary, Yes,
to program. I did the programming in Fortran 4 language. That's a language that they use till now in scientific research. And then I planned, and the output were a vector of numbers, and each number to a part of the body as the equipment I had at that time. I had no plotter. I draw it hand by hand. And just a parenthesis, one of these notations now is in the Oscar Schlemmer personal archives. That's a great honor of my career, because I'm considered one follower of his work. Okay, so I had this notation. And then what the dancer had to do, from one position to the other, the dancer had to create the link. Or he could do a movement, for example, he go from here, or he go from here, or here, which means the way he would link was from his mind, his emotion. This is what's important, because I was discussing what happens when you have many rules to follow, like in our technological society, and you have to find a space for you. For example, we are talking here, okay? The rule is I have to be in front of the camera. If I do the call with you like that, hi Frank, here I am. I listen. People say, wow, what's going on? Something is wrong because there is a rule that I have to follow. And we nowadays are so full of those rules that we have to find our own space. And this discussion begins there. That's why I think this M3x3 is people like till now. And it was also, yeah, it was also, look, binary, black and white. Sound, silence, because sound is stuck. So it's stuck, silent. So 0, 1 was kind of radical. You have no gray, no middle. You have one and the other. So I think those questions were important and are important till now because we have to find a way, to express ourselves. Like we are talking now, we are different countries, different heat, different, but we are trying to communicate. That's what we have to do now. So
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah. And we know each other for a few years by a common friend. And I was very pleased to invite you last year during the FIAC Art Fair in Paris to participate to an exhibition called Mutatio. I was curating in an old garage Renault nearby the Cirque d'Hiver and the Marais. And as you remember, the show was displayed on 2,000 meters square with 20 international artists. And in such large space, I remember you told me, please give me a space not too big for me to settle Nota Ana, participating installation that you proposed to us. In this installation, the viewer is at the center of the work, and the principal effect is required is the movement. Please, could you describe for us the installation and the process of this specific installation, Nota Ana?
Yeah, well, I have to thank you the opportunity to show this work.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and you find a very nice corner there, and here the image. You have a screen, and then you have on behind, on the back of on the other side, you have a small space where you have my image is exactly in front of the. Oh, I don't know.
Can you move? Can you move yourself?
No, I cannot move. That's the rule. Look.
Yes, that's the rules. Yeah.
Well, you have here under my image, you see there is a sensor, and the person is in front of the sensor, and the person is moving, and his movement is. There is another program parallel that picks one frame of his movement and puts in this structure. First one, the structure is almost empty. And then as the person begins, the graphical structures begin to be filled with images of the movement of the person. The movement is visualized through a software called Nota Ana that I invented together with my, now he's my husband, Newton Lobo. That's not a joke. My name is Analivia Cordeiro, that means lamb, Analivia lamb. And he is Newton Lobo, that means Newton wolf. So we are the lamb and the wolf, but it's true, it's not nickname. And then we begin in H3 to do this notation. And then after, I saw that people were really enjoying to see their movements graphically disposed in a screen. Then they would do movements they never thought. For example, they would do one movie that they call an angel. They stand up and then they stand up and they just open the arms. Suppose the body's here and the person opens the arms, so makes half one part of circle. The two arms make half circle, and they call this angel. That's like the use of the angel. So people begin to enjoy. There was at the exhibition one guy. He had a babe in a car, the baby, a little baby, and the sensor caught him and the little baby. So can you imagine little baby moving? And I don't know if you remember the kids, they love it, 5 years old. They didn't want to leave.
Very successful.
And then the mother, let's go home. No, just 5 moments. And then the old people also, there was a very old woman and she had, those, I don't know how to say in English, how to say it? And he was walking.
Piece of wood.
A piece of wood. And he was walking, she was walking. And then when she began to move, she left the wood on the floor and she began to move. So, and then the title was, it's impossible to control, just contribute. Because the person cannot control the image, the final image. But without her, the final image doesn't exist. And I erased all of them because I had no authorization of people to see. For example, there are a few examples here to have them in the work. So I could print this, but since the creator is the person, I cannot do it without the authorization. So I erased all, and that's it. But that's a result of many decades of work. That's it.
Yes, but we could imagine also Nota Ana as an installation, permanent installation in a museum, in a large space. We could think about something like this because it's something that it's an installation that integrates the people, the person, the individual, but also the group. So it's really interesting on this way also.
Or suppose in the lobby of one building important, or because people they pass by and then suddenly say, wait, look, it's me. And then they enjoy this. It's also psychologically very good because the people lose the shame. The people, they just go and do and enjoy. Yeah,
that's
it's
really
nice. Great. It's really nice.
Yes. And between 2015 and 2017, you decided to fix the results of your research in 3D as a sculpture. Can you talk about these sculptures, this new series of sculptures that you produced the last years?
Yes. Well, as I told you, I began to research this notation in 83. And I went just a little before I went to Israel to study the dances, their dances, folklorical dances. And I arrived in a moshav, that's a kind of agricultural organization they had. They had the kibbutz and the moshav. And there was a man there called Yehuda Cohen, and he came to me with a Super 8 film in his hands. And he said, I know you are a dancer, you was in New York. He knew I would be there. And he said, well, I was from the Inbal Dance Company. It's a Yemenite dance company, very important. And now I am old. I want to give you this film because here nobody cares about my dance. And I'm sure you're going to use it. And then I began to research Nota Ana. Nota Ana is a kind of way of writing dances. Well, this is very interesting because can you believe we write words, we write music. We don't have a way to write movement till now, the human being, so many centuries. And exactly with Louis XIV in France was the first experiment of writing a kind of ballet.
Yeah.
So research is long, but till now, we didn't find an easy way, intuitive way to just write a dance. For example, I could write a movement and send to you by email or Facebook, and then you could answer me with another movement. We don't have this. We could have. And then I put his movement. This is Yehuda Cohen, a jump. When I saw this, Frank, I said, well, this looks like a jump because goes up and then goes down. Has a peak up, that's the most highest point of the jump, and then comes down. And all those lines are, you can, the feet down, the head, the arms, this jump, the arms do like that. The arms do a kind of go, the elbows go up. So you see the elbows going up. So when I look at this, I said, well, this is a way of writing a jump. And then I decided to go on. And then I looked for good equipment, and there was a man called Sylvie Steinberg that helped us a lot. He had the first CAD/CAM equipment in Brazil, and he allowed us to use it during the night. So we would arrive at 10 in the evening and go 2, 3 in the morning, go home. But he helped a lot, and I had the first results. But I'm going, and always going and looking for equipment. And then I did one of the first motion capture in the world. Besides, this is, technically, it was very important. It means this is a motion capture. This image we are looking here. So I would go frame by frame. It was a big work. Imagine each frame I would put each joint of the body with number, and then go to the next frame one by one. So to do 1 second, I would have 30. So a big work. But anyway, now we have a kinetics, a sensor. We do this, just push the button. And then I did this, and then I decided that I would work with a man I really think is a genius, other genius, that's Pelé. And I took one film of him from '68. This is a voleo kick. And I did this frame by frame, all the joints, and I had the movement. And then I went through Nota Ana, and instead of lines, here we have the lines, but instead of lines, we planned to show in volume. So here you have the volume of the movement. And then I saw this, I said, you know what, this is sculpture, because it's 3D. The Nota Ana makes the movement 3D. The B-dimension of the film, because of mathematical operations, becomes 3D. I love mathematics, by the way. And then I said, this is a sculpture. I thought, and then I did this sculpture. And look, this is the sculpture of the voleo. And this is from up. Look from up. Looking from up. Here, from top, you have the head, you have the arms. And then comes you. Because first, before doing this, I did another one that was kind of heavy, white, a lot of material. And then I invited you to see the work at the Garden of Biennale. And
yes, I said, I remember.
Oh, yeah, look at what I'm doing. And then you said to me, why are you going to do those sculptures with such a new process if they look like old ones? And I said, you know what? First of all,
very straight.
Yes, first of all, thank you to say the truth and saying directly. That's a big favor.
Yes, very straightforward.
Yeah, you don't find people so like you. That's a virtue. And then I went home and I said, he's right. I have to do things that cannot be handmade. I have to do things that show the complexity of the movement. And look at this figure. You see here all the planes. You see here how they intricate and how they relate. And this is organic. This is not mathematical done with right. This is comes from an organic movement. It's a geometry of organic movement. And then I enter in this. Actually, I work now. You have here all the sculptures. I work now with 3 mathematicians in Belgium, because when you have this, for example, you have this. You are doing the project for a 3D printer. Then you see there is a problem here, for example, in the middle. Then you have to cut the figure, have to open, and you do a modification, for example, in the right side. Then you have to do the same modification the left side. But the mathematics is not the regular mathematics. It's the line is not really straight. There are no parallel lines.
For sure.
Then you have to be a good mathematician. Then put together to have the final sculpture. Look at this one. This one is so complex. It's the same kick, this voleio. Now look at this line that looks like in the air. It's the foot. So that's I have to thank your opinion, because I myself, I would never do those things if you would not say to me so directly that I was wasting my time.
Congratulations. Result is very great.
Yeah, and I use gold, and I use the most plastic of the kids. And you know, I can do this with one movement, yours movement, if we want. This is very nice, because you can do things for people, not only Pelé, Pelé. It's
For sure.
such a beautiful geometry, but simple movements can give wonderful results. And so I think that's a good field. This one people love, but it's a little bit self-explaining too much now. It's easy.
Yeah. But it's still very, very athletic. It's still athletic, you know, the material and so on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the bicycle kick.
Yeah. Bicycle kick.
And the sticks, they have 1.5 millimeters only. It's very thin, very delicate. Yeah.
So the machine, the print machine is the only way to succeed with this material and with this all the details you include in your drawing, 3D drawing. This is the only way to do it.
Yes.
There is nobody,
for example,
no hands who can do it. There is no hands who can do something like this.
No, at all. It's impossible. It's impossible, because the 3D printer works in layers. So it goes, it's the opposite process of the sculpture. In the sculpture, you have a block and you take the material off. In the 3D, you add. For example, you can do a globe with something inside, completely independent.
Yeah.
And that you cannot do by hand, because the globe has no, it's continuous. No, so how can you put something inside? Only this process of one layer after the other.
Great. You talked a little bit before about Merce Cunningham, that you saw a show with your teacher when you were young. But in 1977, you integrate the Merce Cunningham in New York, the Merce Cunningham Dance Studio in New York, amongst other classes. At this time, Cunningham brings to us the idea of contemporary dance, introducing hazard in his composition and distancing also the music from the movement. What is the value, and what is the value he gives to you, and what did you learn with him, and more globally from your experience in New York? What was about this time?
Well, I had contact with him when I was very young, 11 years old. So I studied I loved mathematics since I was a kid, so I studied this. And before going to New York, then I did my computer experiences from 73 to 76. Then I went in 77, I went to New York after. But the random choice, or hasard, like you say in French, is something that the scientists use a lot. Because, for example, I have 4 possibilities of leg. I have the horizontal leg, and then I have the leg going down 45 degrees, and then I have the 45 going up, and then I have one leg that's kind of like this. That's very difficult, almost vertical. So suppose I can choose one for one position. Then I give to what the computer allowed at that time. No, just a break. The computer, the big computer at that time had 5 megabytes of memory, the biggest one. So it was a different, now 5 is nothing. But that time we had to plan to not occupy too much memory. Mm-hmm. So for example, I say the straight line horizontal has 50% of chance to happen. The leg down has 30%. And then I have left 20% to make 100%. Then the other 2 legs, I put 10% for each. Why? Because the leg is so difficult to do. Mm-hmm. Then the computer runs a kind of random choice based on these probabilities. And choose one, pick one. That's how I use this. But first of all, sure, Cunningham inspired me. Yeah, I had this before going to New York. And when I went to New York, for me, it was one of the best moments in my life because I was in a city, plenty of good artists, the best dancers in the world, everybody together experimenting. And there was a moment, it was a very positive moment in the world. So everybody was kind of, let it be, let it go, let's do what's just before AIDS, the sickness, the AIDS, the SIDA, no? I'll say, yeah. It's just a little before, so people are not afraid to have contact. So it was a moment I will never forget. And Cunningham, he chose me to go to do one workshop with him. And well, just here, I have a few photos.
Yeah, I was asking for photos.
I was a dancer. Yeah, this is from Bob Wolferson when I came back, but it was like this. I was training like a dancer. And then Cunningham was the one who after a few years, he said to me, now he called me, he made an appointment and said, I have to tell you that you reached the highest point in the company, in the school, because my company is sponsored by National Endowment of Arts. And one rule is that all the dancers have to be American born. And I was Brazilian, so.
Yeah, very cruel.
Yeah, very cruel. So I said, but he said to me, but New York has a lot of spaces. Then I went home. I said, you know what? I want to do a family one day. And I know that when I was 40 in New York, I will be finished because dancer, at least I was very technically perfectionist. And I said, you know what? I'm going back to Brazil. And I went back to Brazil. But he was great. He was light, good humor, and also a great artist. So, I had the opportunity also to work with Charles Atlas, that was his filmmaker, and he chose 18 dancers. I was one of the 18, so what was good. Wow,
great
time.
Great time.
Yes.
And after, when you get back to São Paulo, you get many opportunities to continue your own work, your artist's work, by another way. For example, the series Dance on Paper. It is a way to use directly the body of dance as a material to be painted on the paper. There is no more computer. Huh? You don't use any more printing machine. Only the body painted and virgin paper and movement of your body as a soul. How do you consider the performance in your work? This performance?
Well, I had to have courage because nowadays, today, we have so many filters. So many lies, fake. You just focus what you want to show. You can lie a lot. It's normal. People don't realize they are lying. they just make a scene of everything to show. At the same time, people are always under pressure. Because of technology, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to be beautiful, you have to run, you have to behave. So many things you have to do, that this pressure, people are becoming anxiety and depressed at the same time because it's too much, the whole time, day and night and day. So I decided to think about one day if everything is missing. You have just your body. Yeah, there is that phrase from Einstein, the scientist, saying that he didn't know how the third war would be, but the fourth war would be with stones and pieces of wood. He was no way saying that we have to go back to our source. Our source is the body. Without the body, we die. That's the only thing we need, our body. So I decided to use the body. And the results that arrived were very intelligent. For example, this image is an image that I draw with my toes of the toes of the feet and the fingers of my hand. And it looks like a constructivist. But because I'm fixing one elbow, for example, and then I do this is
movement.
This is a perfect circle, like a compass. So I begin to understand that our body is the source of many tools that we created. For example, the teaser, you pick small things. Then the results were very interesting. For example, this one here, I did with my hair. I did two. I put together the pieces, and it's like a brush. I put the red and the black, and then I begin to move. I begin to move my head, and the image, the movement would paint. So it's like a touchist, because it's a free movement, different than the other. So each movement brings a different result, a different aesthetical result. It's interesting. For example, this is when I did with my body, just printing, not the movement. And then the result was this one, was completely unusual. Look, this result, it's just to print with the whole body. That's the body. And sure, I have to do quickly, because if I take hours painting, then the first one is dry and the other one is wet. And I use a ink that's not toxic for the body.
At the same time, kind of primitive and instantaneity of the color. It's really great.
It's true. It's kind of primitive, but we are not naive anymore.
For sure.
So it's a primitive from the 21st century. That's not primitive. It's we know things nowadays. We cannot forget. nothing is really going to surprise us anymore. Now we are in a moment maybe surprising, but now we think we know things, no? And together with the painting there is the video, because I want people to see the painting born. It's not a documentary of a performance. No, the video is a video art. And I work with a musician many years already, and he does the music especially for the video, Rodolfo Grani Jr. And we do those videos that are sometimes better than the paintings. It's true. You look at the video and say, wow, what a great painting. And then you look at the painter, it's a small piece of paper, not so big, just with dots.
With dots, exactly.
Yeah. Depending. There are people that prefer the video, there are people that say, oh no, painting is a painting.
Depends on the taste.
Yes.
And what do you think in this special context we are living now with COVID? What are your wishes, your expectation for art, and also for the new generation of artists who appears on the scene?
Well, first of all, people are using the communication that we had before, the possibility to use, but we didn't use too much. We were always trying to communicate, going traveling, trying to go to restaurants, trying to eat together. But now we have to do it by video. And one of the things that is very positive is that people has to go and stay together with themselves. I have to be with myself much more time than I would be if I had the possibility to go out freely.
That would like.
Yes. And we are also having a revelation that our society, as a society, has very bad leaders, because most of the presidents don't know what to do or don't know what to say to people that need a human message, that need courage, that need things that are so simple to say, like you can say, think that I'm giving you a hand, think that I'm near you, or things that you say from your heart. So we are having the opportunity to see a society that's very artificial. The relation between people has always something under, or money interest, or political or power interest. But then we should have a leader that would say people to people, a message. And I think this is something that we now know, and even if things come back to what was before, we will not forget.
Okay. The language of the...
What do you think? Tell me.
You are talking about the language of the heart. The language of the art.
Yeah. And what do you think?
A little bit missed. But I'm thinking about the new generation of artists who are arriving on the market, and probably the difficulties that are going to appear in the few months, in the few years. The difficulty means also to show the work, to develop the work in the good way, and how we can help them to be on the scene, and how to be responsible of this. So it's a question that I'm thinking about, as you do, as we should do, all of us. Okay.
And this is interesting what you are saying, because this new generation has already a digital born. They were born. So they will show their work in a
That way.
yeah, in another way, and it will be very, very easy. Besides, sure, when you see the work front of you, you can be
Physically.
or it's better or it's the worst. No, sometimes it's worse. But at least it is. I cannot imagine, for example, someone buying a painting in internet and receiving at home, and see if that person doesn't like. What happens? She can give back? She paid already. I don't know. I think that changes will happen. Will happen. For sure.
For sure.
So I don't know what time is it. Are you looking at the time?
I do not. I received a message from a few minutes.
There is any question?
No, I think we finished. And
Okay.
shall we thanks everybody? Thanks to Friends of Art to join for this special moment and talk with and talking with you about the course of your life and about art. And it was always a pleasure to talk together and to be with our Friends of Art.
Me too. I thank you a lot because it was a pleasure, was nice. And the questions you did to me were, for me, very important because gave the opportunity to give an idea of the whole of my work. And I want to thank you, Luciana, of this opportunity because she was very generous and she is generous. Yes.
Thank you very much.
To welcome
Luciana.
us.
Thank you.
Okay, so hope to talk to you later.
Yeah. Next time in Brazil.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye bye.